My right side is my best side.
There you go. Okay, I'll say. Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Westenbarger, and I'm interviewing my special guests today are my parents. And today is June 21st, 2023, first day of summer. And I would like you, I guess, to start off. We'll just introduce ourselves. We'll start with my mother. Tell me your name and a little bit about like when you were born, and then we'll switch over to you and introduce you, and then we'll just get into conversation. Okay?
All right. My name is Elizabeth Lou Moore, is my maiden name. Westenbarger. I went by Libby the early part of my years for a long time. And I was born December 17, 1937, in my grandparents' house, my grandparents' McCullough house in the Plains, Ohio.
Alrighty. Thank
Yes.
you for that.
My name is Gene Arlen with two A's, Westenbarger. Born in Lancaster, Ohio, July 25, 1935. I'll soon be, in July 25 this year, 88 years old.
So about a month. Wow. Okay. So back to mother. Tell me a little bit about your parents.
My parents are Robert Wilson Moore and May Amarette McCullough Moore. Bob Moore was born in the Plains, Ohio. His parents had lived other places as well, but they ended their last years in the Plains, Ohio. He was a graduate of Plains High School and attended Ohio University. He was a graduate of Ohio University in accounting. My mother is May Amarette McCullough Moore. Amarette is a family name. And she was born in Meigs County, Ohio, down by the Ohio River, and ended up back in, traveled around Athens counties and Meigs County and another county or two where her father was sent to teach. And she ended up in the Plains, Ohio, and finished high school her senior year at Athens High School. And she tried to attend Ohio University, didn't last, and she went to nurses training, and that didn't last, although she did pick up a lot of tricks that she used later of nursing. And they met in the Plains, Ohio, and really a strange couple, an odd couple, yeah.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't a whole lot of choice,
Right.
so I think that's why they ended up with each other.
And you were born in your grandparents' house. That was the McCullough grandparents?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and we know where that is.
It's on East 4th Street, which I don't know if it had any name when I was born there, but it's on East 4th Street in the Plains, and the house is still there.
The house is still there. Okay, and now I'm going to switch over to you, and maybe you can introduce who your grandparents are, or parents were, and a little about Lancaster. They were both from.
My father's name was Ralph Leon Westenbarger. He was part of a family of four rather, two boys, other boys, and a girl. He was born in Lancaster also,
In 1906.
and my mother was Edna May Ricketts Westenbarger. She was born in Lancaster also.
Let me show you a picture. There they are. Okay, go on. Thank you.
Where was I? Dad was born in Lancaster, and he went to school in Lancaster until he was a junior in high school, at which time his father died due to exposure in a job that he had, and Dad had to quit school as a junior in high school, and worked at a shoe factory for a while. And during that process, in his late teens, he lost the middle finger, half of the middle finger of his right hand, in an industrial accident. and was poorly compensated for that. Later, he was able to get day work at the Anchor Hocking Glass Company in Lancaster, being picked by the man at the gate. You get a day's work, and you get a day's work, and he got to be so that he was well received there, and he got full-time work in the
Shipping.
in the loading department. He worked on loading docks, loading boxes of glassware, picking it from the warehouse and putting it in the railroad cars. And in the process of that, one day he fell down between the railroad cars and broke his leg. I was simply a kid at that time. Remember him being in bed for a while. After that, since he was a responsible and intelligent person, he got offered a job in the planning office, where he was routing the cars, how to load the cars in order for them to be delivered in the order of sequence in which they were going to go to this town and that town and another town and so on. And he retired in that job after he turned 65. Mother was at home all my early childhood until I was able to take care of myself somewhat, and she took a job as the secretary of the United Methodist Church in Lancaster, and spent many years there in that position. She was always home. I always walked home from school for lunch every day. It was maybe a 20-minute, 15-minute walk. So I would walk home and get my lunch and walk back. But anyway, she was always out of her job and there and taking care of the family like that.
Wow. And you have one sister?
I have one sister, Evelyn Louise Westenbarger. She was 7.5 years older than I am. Than I am. And she was married to a William Tharp originally, and was divorced from him. And she later married Hal Goldberg, and had a child, Kurt David Goldberg, with him. And they were divorced also. And unfortunately, she is deceased now. She died in 1907, I believe, 2007,
Yeah.
at the age of 69. I believe that's right.
Yeah, she was a smoker. Is that right?
I don't think so. I think he's off a couple years.
79,
I think she was
sorry, 79, yeah, 79. She did not make the age of 80, as I recall, right.
Right.
Yeah,
So you were
okay.
roughly 72 or so at that time.
Yeah, and she came to Lancaster after Dad died. She came down to live with Mother in Lancaster and take care of things there, and that was very fortunate because Mother was becoming somewhat mentally deprived and not able to take care of herself.
Yeah, and then Evelyn just stayed in Lancaster after
Evelyn
that.
stayed in Lancaster after that. She got her own trailer. She did not want to live in the home. She said there were too many ghosts there.
The home at?
On Frederick Street, 650 Frederick Street was the homestead. It started out to be 640 Frederick Street, but the address was changed when a man up the street built a house, and the city said, you should be number 640, which is really correct. Dad simply picked the number that was next to the house he was raised in, which was 638, and that house had the wrong number from old days, and so 640 became 650, and 638 I think probably became 648. I don't know.
And so your dad had that house built. He contracted to build.
Dad had that house built in the early 1940s. When I was born, they lived on Garfield Avenue, which was several blocks from the factory that Dad worked in, getting his day labor and so on. And we were there. I have no recollections of being there, although I think there's a photograph of me playing in the backyard, possibly, or Dad at the back door calling me in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they moved from there to Madison Avenue, the 500 block of Madison Avenue in Lancaster, before I went to school, so I was age 4 or 5 at that time. And Evelyn says we lived there a long time, but I think it was no more than 2 or 3 years, because The house was on Frederick Street was begun in the early 1940s, built by a contractor, but Dad did the wiring, electrical wiring to that. He had developed that skill by going to school, but never really practiced it for pay. So we moved to Frederick Street when I was just started a school, and that took me a few blocks farther away from school than I was when I lived on Madison Avenue. But anyway, the Frederick Street then address started in the 40s, and so I lived there all the time. East Elementary for 8 years, and then Lancaster High School for 4 years.
And so then you graduated from Lancaster High School
In 1953.
in '53, and you had a scholarship from Anchor Hocking.
I worked summers and saved my money working in the dairy, home dairy, and also with a sickle scything off weeds behind guardrails for the state of Ohio, and saved enough money to go to school 1 year. And so I went that 1 year and was afraid of whether I was prepared or not, because I was not a good student in school. C's and B's were fine, and A occasionally. But I survived that, and then when I was a freshman, Anchor Hocking Company developed a scholarship program. They were looking to give students 4-year scholarships, but I already had a year. Would they give me a scholarship? Dad got this information, and we applied. I applied with his help, getting a letter from from my chemistry teacher, for example, and maybe possibly somebody else. And Anchor Hocking did agree to give me a scholarship. So I had a 3-year scholarship that paid me, was a total of, would have been $750. The 4 years were $500, were $1,000 scholarships.
Oh, wow.
So I got $250 each year. That meant in a semester at OU, I got $125. Tuition was $90 a semester. So I had money left over to buy books and some pocket money even. Otherwise, I was supporting myself with the funds I'd saved during summers in order to pay housing and food costs. Occasionally, Mother, because she had a job, would offer me $20 or something. She'd ask me, "Do I need money?" And I would say no, and she would give me $20 anyway, occasionally.
So, speaking of the costs of OU, I remember you showed me many years ago. You found your the receipt for your birth at the was it at home or was it
No,
at
at Lancaster Hospital.
Lancaster Hospital, and your parents had to pay how much for you?
I don't remember that
something
number,
like $10.
but it was very low. Yeah.
Yeah. So birthing you was an investment of $10. And then they got to bring you home.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. We're going to get back to college here in a second. I want to switch over to Mother, and I understand that you have some siblings.
I forget where I am.
Where were we? We talked about
Parents.
just your parents so far and where you were born,
Oh,
but you mostly grew up in Grandview.
well, yeah, but I was born in the
You
Plains.
were born in the Plains.
My parents were married in the Plains, and Dad, I was born in '37, and Dad graduated in '38, and he had a degree in accounting, so he went into Athens and got a job at Beasley Mills. And my understanding was he was cost accounting. He worked nights, and so they would be loading up trucks with the food to be delivered the next day, and he would cost out how much the bill was going to be.
And we went by, just yesterday, we went by the Beasley building, which
Yes.
is down by the Station
Yes.
Street,
Mhm.
which is still existing there on Union.
It's on West Union Street, and it says Beasley up on the side
It
of
does
it.
say Beasley.
So yeah,
Okay.
so that's
So-
where he was.
So then, that was when you were very young.
Well, he went to work when he was right out of college. Like I said, he graduated in '38, and I was born in '37. So he had a family right away, and he was costing out the deliveries for the
Gotcha.
food company, and then he got a job in Columbus with an accountant and he was in public accounting then, from then on.
And so your family moved to Columbus, but it was still just you.
Uh,
And then your brother
uh-huh.
Mick.
Yeah, it was just
Tell
me.
us about your
But
siblings.
I was born in the Plains at my grandparents' house, and then my parents moved to a rental house that they had in the Plains, and that's where my brother was born. And the thing about that is my dad, Mick was due when Mick was due. Dad was working nights, and so here was Mick, and he was ready to come. So Dad wasn't home, so the man across the street went to the doctor's office to get the doctor and bring the doctor home, and he delivered Mick at that house. And then the doctor went home, and then pretty soon Francis C. went after the doctor again and brought him down to deliver his child, which is his second daughter. And so we always joked that Mick in our family, Mickey and Bernita Gay and that family were twins, but they're just born on opposite sides of that midnight. And what's interesting now, I saw Marilyn, the oldest sister of that bunch, there's 6 of those Z's, at my sister's burial services, and the oldest daughter was there. Well, and I was there, of course, but Mickey, the second one in my family, and Bernita Gay, the second one in her family, are both dead. And Marilyn has 4 other siblings, and I don't know about them, but I am the oldest of 5 siblings, and 4 of them are deceased. Now, as the oldest, I'm still alive, and all of my siblings, 3 brothers and 1 sister, are all deceased.
Okay, and we just went to the service for your sister
My
just
sister.
last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
which was June 16th, 2023. She died May 24th,
I don't remember the date.
I think, maybe?
I don't remember the
I
date.
forget the exact date. And so you had brother Mick, Michael
Yes,
Allen Moore, and you had a brother Peter,
Peter Robin Lynn Moore,
and your sister
Millicent May Moore. And then Mother thought they were done, but apparently they didn't bother doing anything to ensure that they were done. But Patrick was born 7 years after Millicent. So she was 7 years younger than I, and he was 7 years younger than she. Yeah, so.
So pretty much you grew up in your house with Mick and Peter and Millie, but you didn't really grow up in the same house with Patrick. He came along much later after you were already out of the house.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I was 14 when Patrick was
Patrick
born.
was born.
And I wasn't paying much attention to him because I was off doing school things and all. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let's see, where should we go now? What do you want to do? Do you want to take a break or do you want to keep going?
Well, we both could tell more stories.
You got
I'm
more
sure.
stories?
I could add to my mother.
Go ahead, yes, please do.
My mother was born in Lancaster, but as a child, her family, her father, decided he would like to be a farmer.
I remember her saying
And
that.
they
Yes.
moved to a farm near Thurston, Ohio. And so she went to all of her school in Thurston, Ohio, elementary school, by walking. The railroad track was the triangular, what do you call it? The
Hypotenuse.
hypotenuse of the triangle, the shortest way to get to Thurston, to where the school was. Every day she walked the railroad tracks, probably a mile. I've never really tested it. But whenever her childhood was brought up, she would scorn discussing that because she did not like farm chores and didn't like to be there and have to do that. And she had a brother and a sister also there. She was the oldest of 3. The brother was 5 years younger, and the other sister was 5 more years younger.
That was Uncle Herb, and he became
Herbert Howard Ricketts became a minister, Methodist minister, after he had numerous other kinds of jobs around. His mother's sister was Reba Agnes Ricketts, married Fulton Deeds, and I have 2 cousins named Deeds there. Anyway, Mother objected to being on the farm, so when Mother was a junior in high school, her dad decided to move back to Lancaster, and he was or became a house painter. He was a house painter to earn a living. So when she came back to Lancaster to go to Lancaster High School, they rejected some of the credits that she had from Thurston High School, and as a result, she went back a year and had to do 2 years at Lancaster High School before she graduated. She would have been in the class of 24, but she was really in the class of 23, I believe.
She was born in 1904.
04, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And she is that what I was going to say?
She came back to Lancaster.
Yeah, she's back in Lancaster, and as a result of being in Lancaster High School, she and Dad both went to a birthday party of someone else. Is a story I heard.
They met there.
And there was some program at the birthday party whereby they would take a walk around the block with a partner. And for some reason or other, they became partners. I don't know if they held hands or whatever, but they walked together around the block and got to know one another. And while she was a senior, he was 2 years behind her in high school, and they met before he left high school before his dad died, where he had to leave high school, and the rest is history, so to speak.
So okay, so we've got how they met, and your college, and somehow you got to college also, Mother. How did you end up getting into college?
Yeah,
What was
right.
that?
You skipped a whole bunch of my life.
Well,
but
go.
that's
Let's start back. Let's go back and tell me what you want to tell me.
Oh.
Let's wait for that to go away.
American Red Cross.
That's it. That's it.
They're good people.
Okay, well, I can't remember exactly where I was. I mean, we
You were somewhere in the plains.
yeah, we were at
Trying
we
to
were
get you,
in the
trying to get you to
plains.
Grandview somehow.
Well, Mick was born in the plains, and then Dad got a job in Columbus, and so we moved. We must have moved when Mick was quite small, and we didn't move to Grandview right away. We moved to Columbus, and we lived in a housing project, which my mother hated. I didn't know at the time, but she always hated anything that made her feel like she was poor, and living in a housing project, which is, you know, lower rent, you know, that kind of thing.
That was during the war.
Yeah, they moved in what, 37, 39, early 40s. Yeah, because he wasn't drafted. He didn't go and served in the military, but he worked in defense plants. Worked in places where they were doing stuff that was war related, but he was doing accounting the whole time.
So on December 7th, 1941, you were 3 years old, almost ready to turn 4.
Yeah.
And your brother was 2, or maybe 1. Okay, so go ahead.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so we lived in the housing project, and Mother she felt deprived, but we had great fun. I mean, there were lots of other kids there, and sidewalks, so you could skate on the sidewalk or whatever, and there was a levee to the Scioto River, and so that gave us a hill to slide down in the wintertime, and to climb around. There were bushes in it, so you could go and play in the bushes. That, it was great fun. There was a playground with swings and teeter-totters and sliding boards and all that good stuff. Then when it was, let's see, Peter was born in the housing project, and the story was that the doctor didn't want to come to the apartment to deliver the baby, because that's what Mother was used to, having a child at home. And Mother said, the story goes, don't worry about it, you just come when I call you. And the story was that when the doctor came, he hardly had time to get his gloves on to deliver the baby. And we had been told, Mother was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, we had been told that there was something growing, and when it was ready, it would come, And so when we went in the bedroom the next day after Peter was born, Mick grinned and he said, "I knew the apple would get ripe." And so it did. And Peter was born, and he was a big baby. He was a big baby. But I used to lug him around, and I used to change his diaper, and I was 5.
So that, yeah, 1942, he was born in 42.
Hmm?
Peter was born in 1942?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So anyhow, he was born there, and eventually it came time for me to go to school, and like Gene, I walked to school. Now our children have all been bus children, except for the time when we were
Kensington.
in
Kensington.
California. So anyhow, I walked to school, and I walked home for lunch, and then I walked back to school, and like Gene, my mother was at home preparing lunch, you know. So I went to school, this little school, which no longer exists. It's been torn down. It's a parking lot for COSI. It's in the backyard of COSI.
Because COSI is now the Center of Science and Industry in Columbus. It took over Central High School.
It was Central High School. That's where I would have gone to school if we'd been there all that time. So anyhow, I walked to Feaser Elementary School for 6 years, it was great. I loved it. I don't know if it was a good school or not, but I loved it. And what?
Go ahead. I was going to ask you about the stories you told me about when the bigger kids would have to carry the smaller kids across the flooded streets.
Yeah.
On your way to school.
When there was too much rain, we went under a railroad bridge to get to school. Well, it flooded underneath the railroad bridge, and the big sixth grade boys would take off their shoes and roll their pants legs and carry the little kids through the water to get them to school.
That's very generous of them.
So anyhow, that was great fun, and Mr. Smucker of the Smucker Jams and Jellies was our principal. He had a couple of schools. He had another school besides us, and so he wasn't always there. And on a Friday, one day he wasn't always there, and some of the bigger kids, when I was in the 6th grade, I spent half a day Friday afternoon in the office answering the phone because the principal wasn't there. So, and there was somebody else the other times when he wasn't there that answered the phone. So anyhow, that was a great place. It was a great place to live as far as I was concerned. And Dad was working in the offices of the plants. Worked at Curtis Wright, and he worked someplace else that I can't remember offhand. But then when I finished elementary school, that's when we moved to Grandview.
Okay.
Mick was finishing the 4th grade, going into the 5th grade, and Mother had heard about this, I guess, from neighbors, and for the 5th grade, he got to go to the Columbus Boy Choir School, which was a private school, and he went there, and they sang and did concerts and so forth, and he did that for the 5th grade, and then the Columbus Boy Choir School shut up shop and moved to Princeton, New Jersey. Well, Mick didn't. He stayed with the family. I don't know if it cost extra probably to go to Princeton.
I'm sure.
So anyhow, that's when we moved to Grandview.
Fantastic. I think what I'm going to do